morning, and welcome to Pitt to the Point. I'm Jamie Ely.
And I'm Josh Byrne. Pitt to the Point is the University of Pittsburgh 1-hour news magazine program that covers events, news, and stories right here at the University of Pittsburgh and its regional campuses.
Pitt to the Point also covers the City of Pittsburgh's news, sports, politics, and events, as well as national and international stories.
We're here again in our beautiful state-of-the-art Pitt studios, and over the next hour, we have a great show for you guys. We'll be joined by talented students, both in front and behind the cameras.
And Josh, it is a beautiful day in Pittsburgh, and I can honestly say it's a pleasure for me to be here with you, presenting to our faithful audience.
Absolutely, and we are just so honored to have you again tuning into the show. We're also honored to be beginning today's show with a history-making guest. This morning, we are joined by Olympic bronze medalist John Carlos.
That's right, Josh. Not only was John Carlos a decorated track and field star and pro football player, but he also made his mark in a way I'm sure most of our viewers know about. Despite all of his athletic achievements, Carlos is most well known for his show of Black pride and solidarity on the Olympic podium in 1968.
Carlos boldly raised his fist alongside gold medalist Tommy Smith to protest racial segregation in the United States and abroad. The raised fist was also a protest against racism in sports and worldwide. This protest symbol has now become a sign for all injustices and inequality in the world.
For more on this amazing man and the mark he left on the world, we go to our city sports reporter, Nick Faribaugh, who is with the legend himself. Nick?
An icon, a change maker, a legend. I am proud to be joined now by Dr. John Carlos. Thank you for coming on.
Nick, it's my honor to be here. It's great to come back on the campus again. And this is actually my first time having an opportunity to go through the campus and get to see the beauty of the campus, as well as meet a lot of the young students and have the opportunity to share with them.
Your trip to Pittsburgh is obviously for change makers to conversation, but I want to talk with you about your event in 1968.
Right.
You know, the opposing raised fist with two different gloves on each hand with Tommy Smith, the socks. What went into this? You guys almost had a boycott of the games, but why did you guys decide to make this a thing?
Oh, we thought that the Olympic Games was the ideal vehicle to get our message across to society. That was the only opportunity we would have to reach the far ends of the earth, so to speak, at the Olympic Games. But yet and still, we wanted to symbolize certain things. So, you know, like Mr. Smith had a black scarf that he put on his neck for Black pride. I had beads on my neck to symbolize the lynching that had been taking place before my time, hence my time, and during my time. And then we all of the black athletes were wearing black socks in their races. We didn't wear shoes out there to illustrate the poverty that was taking place in the United States. You know, we felt once again, this is the greatest country in the world and people shouldn't be running around trying to find shoes to go to school. And then I didn't have my uniform dress zipped up in protocol, so to speak, because I thought about my mom and dad in terms of them being blue collar workers in the country, and the blue collar workers was the gut of this nation. And they're the least respected and honored for what they do. So I didn't want to leave them out. So I went out there to represent the blue collar workers as well. I had a black jersey on over my USA uniform. People ask me, what was that for? I say, because I covered my USA jersey because I was actually ashamed of America. I felt America could do so much more, and they put up the pretense to the rest of the world that we're this great nation. But I was ashamed because they was putting up this pretense. And I said, I'm shameful because we can sit down and resolve these issues if we take the time. And they refused to do it at that particular time.
Now, the action was immediate out of this response. Let's take a look at that right now.
The sixth day was the most dramatic so
Thanks
far.
to men like Tommy Smith and John Carlos.
Tommy Smith and John Carlos.
and John Carlos.
The Olympic 200 meters gold and bronze medalists had been suspended by the United States
They were
Olympic Committee.
ordered out of the Olympic Village and were suspended by the U.S.
Negro
Olympic Committee.
athletes wear buttons reading Olympic Project for Human Rights.
extricated from society.
Racial
The
protests.
victory ceremony, unfortunately overshadowed by politics.
There were some boos in the stadium last night.
The rules and traditions of the games were violated by the actions of Smith and Carlos. Doubtless the preponderant weight of American public opinion will support the committee, but nothing is solved really.
Now, John, it was you, Mr. Smith, and Peter Norman from Australia. He wore a badge, the Olympic for Human Rights Project badge in solidarity. Talk me through how that happened and your relationship throughout the rest of Mr. Norman's life.
Well, Peter is a man's man. You know, Peter know what he saw in life, what he agreed with in life, what he didn't agree with in life. He was one that would take the bull by the horn, so to speak. If he felt something was wrong, he was going to try and correct it and make it right. Unfortunately for him, the country that he was living in at that particular time had the same values as South Africa at that particular time relative to people of color. And by him lending support to the demonstration by wearing the Olympic Project for Human Rights badge on his uniform, he didn't do any more than put the badge on, but merely because he chose to support us in this quest. He was ridiculed. He was shamed. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy this man. And eventually they got to him physically because he had a heart attack and died at a very young age, I might say.
Now, you were pallbearers at his funeral. What did that relationship mean to you guys from 1968 on to 2006?
Well, you know, we were looking forward to getting together. We actually was looking forward to a reunion, Tommy, Peter, and I. And I'm sitting home in my house thinking about this reunion, and the phone rings. And it was Peter's nephew, and he called me to tell me that Peter's gone. And I said, gone where? And he said, man, he's dead. And I was like in a state of shock and hurt. And I remember telling my wife, I said, you know, Peter died. I said, I don't know how I'm going to get to Australia. I said, but if I have to start walking today to get there, I'm going to be there in his service. And fortunately, things worked out when we were able to be there. There was 3,000 people that came into this armory to honor Peter Norman. And when I gave my speech, I mean, I told them I applaud the fact that they was there in his demise. But I said, how many of you were there when he came back from Mexico City to lend support for who he was as a humanitarian? You know, quite a bit of them was in tears after that because they had to reflect on themselves in terms of how they might have responded to him as this young athlete.
The great John Carlos, everybody. And you can have an opportunity to speak with John Carlos tonight at 6:30. Changemakers in Conversation. It's at Alumni Hall. It's at 6:30 at the 7th floor in the auditorium at Alumni Hall. First annual Changemakers in Conversation for Black History Month. The legend himself, John Carlos, will be there speaking.
Incidentally, Herb Douglas, I want to give a shout out to you. I know you're here in the city somewhere in one of these hospitals here. I'm going to break the door down, man. I'm going to get in to see you sometime today. I love you. You're a great representative for Pitt. You've always been that way. I hope I get a chance to ride by your track and see your name up on the marquee.
Dr. John Carlos, everybody. Thank you for
Nick.
coming on. The legend himself, Dr. John Carlos, again, make sure to go to the Alumni Hall, 6:30 tonight. I'm City Sports reporter from Pitt to the Point, Nick Faribaugh. Jamie, Josh.
Thanks, Nick. And of course, Mr. John Carlos, not every day you get to see an American icon walk through these doors. Shootings in America have become an epidemic, and nowhere is this clearer than in American schools. Now a Pittsburgh school can add their name to the list of places where a shooting has occurred.
4 students were shot outside Westinghouse Academy in Homewood on Tuesday afternoon while students were being dismissed for the day. The students, 3 15-year-olds and a 17-year-old, are in stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries after the shooting. They were quickly tended to by school staff, being taken into the school while all other students almost immediately went into lockdown.
Police are still looking for the shooter. According to Pittsburgh Police Commander Stephen Vanansky, there is no suspect, but cameras in the area are being reviewed. It is only known that 10 gunshots were detected.
Pittsburgh is unfortunately not the only school to experience a shooting this week. On Monday evening, the eve of the 5th anniversary of the Parkland shooting, there was a shooting at Michigan State University that killed 3 and wounded 5.
Students and faculty sheltered in place for hours while hundreds of police officers swarmed the campus in search of the shooter.
The search ended after 3 hours, in which police found the shooter, 43-year-old Anthony McRae, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was carrying 2 legally purchased handguns and additional ammunition, according to police.
In the search for answers, police said they found a note with a list of grievances from the shooter. There was no apparent connection between McRae and Michigan State, but McRae's father said his son had tried to get a job at the university. Those wounded are still being treated at Sparrow Hospital.
Oh my God.
The beginning of 2020 to early 2022 alone, overdoses increased by more than 50%. However, some areas in America, including here in Pennsylvania, are experiencing slight drops in overdose deaths.
This is due to legislation allowing life-saving medication and testing strips to be accessible to the public. Despite the drop in overdose deaths at home, throughout the rest of the United States, overdose deaths are continuing to rise. Our news producer, Aidan Dean Dunn, has more on this.
As of 2023, the opioid epidemic has captured the American attention. Just last year, we lost 100,000 American lives to drug overdoses, 70,000 of which were related to the opioid, fentanyl. The state of Pennsylvania decriminalized fentanyl testing strips as of this new year, and the University of Pittsburgh was chosen by the National Institute of Health to be one of 9 organizations in a national network who will be studying drug harm reduction techniques.
Not everybody is going to be interested in stopping substance use when they interface with the healthcare system, with a community-based program. And so the idea is that we should really be offering access to comprehensive harm reduction services to reduce the ongoing kind of risks associated with substance use. And so some of these strategies are things like naloxone or Narcan to prevent overdose, fentanyl test strips, which are a way really to sort of test your drug supply. And if it has fentanyl in there, then you're able to sort of figure out ways that reduce sort of the risk of overdose. Historically, many times, the ways in which we've sort of focused on substance use treatment, on substance use research has really been focusing solely on offering treatment, right? So if you want to stop using drugs today, here's treatments that you can access. And I think that is very much important to offer treatment to folks. But it's also important to say, if you don't want treatment, how can we keep you alive and well so that when you're ready, you're able to access it? And that's really sort of part of the idea with harm reduction, is that the focus is not to get people to stop using drugs. It recognizes that people will use drugs, and our focus really needs to be on reducing the harms that come from drug use. And really thinking more broadly about conceptualizing the health and well-being of people who use drugs, as opposed to saying the only thing we care about is that you stop using this substance. So there are programs within Pittsburgh. So an example would be Prevention Point Pittsburgh.
Prevention Point Pittsburgh is mainly the syringe service program here in Pittsburgh. We serve all of Allegheny County. And the biggest thing that harm reduction does is keep people alive. I know a lot of people like to push for people to stop using and to be in recovery, and we do see that, but they have to be alive to be able to even have that opportunity.
Coming up, Allegheny County's most powerful seat is up for grabs. See who has the best shot after the break.
Also coming up, Student Government Board has a new way for clubs to get money. See if your favorite club can qualify.
All this and more coming up on Pitt to the Point.
We are the University of Pittsburgh, forged in a blue-collar city with gold standards, where innovators, researchers, thinkers, and healers are always reaching for new heights. There is no limit to what we can accomplish when we put our minds, our hands, our soul, and spirit toward it. Here, progress is always in progress. Hail to Pitt, proud partner of the ACC.
They come here, forged in the spirit of change, pushing to answer the questions, and then questioning the answers, embracing each challenge as fuel for reinventing the world. Because here, leadership, courage, creativity, innovation, and progress are always in progress. The University of Pittsburgh, forward.
Welcome back to Pitt to the Point. Hey, Jamie, did you know Pitt to the Point actually has a website?
Well, Josh, I actually did. If you want to find out all the latest news and read stories from your favorite Pitt to the Point personalities, check us out on pittothepoint.com.
Pittothepoint.com isn't the only way to get your Pitt to the Point fix. You can also find us on social media.
For more behind-the-scenes looks at your favorite show and to see more of our pretty faces, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Pitt to the Point and at Facebook at Pitt to the Point. Check it out.
Well, Jamie, the primaries are heating up, and while all eyes are on who will win a run for the presidency next year, Allegheny County's most powerful seat is now up for grabs.
That's right. The county executive seat is open for the taking. Find out more about who has the best shot at the powerful position and how much money is being thrown at the race. We go to our political reporter, Alexandra Ross. Alexandra?
Thank you, Jamie. The Allegheny County Executive is the most powerful position in Allegheny County, and it's wide open this year for the first time in over a decade. But without the campaign contribution limits that guide our federal and our state elections, this race is getting off to a very expensive start. Current Allegheny County Executive Rich Fitzgerald will retire this year after exhausting his 3-term limit. Whoever takes the Democratic primary election in May is largely expected to win his seat in November. Candidates in the Democratic primary race so far include State Representative Sarah Innamorato, Attorney Dave Fawcett, City Controller Michael Lamb, and County Treasurer John Weinstein, all of whom have drawn attention for the large amounts of money raised towards their campaigns. With no county legislation currently limiting campaign donations, these 4 candidates ended 2022 with 6-figure totals in their campaign accounts. Lamb and Weinstein received large donations from political action committees and politically involved individuals. Fawcett loaned $150,000, which amounts to almost half of his fundraising money, to his own campaign. Meanwhile, about 40% of Innamorato's funds came from contributions of $250 or less. She received only one contribution of over $10,000. The number of contributions per candidate also varied. While Weinstein had the most fundraising dollars, he also had the smallest number of contributions. Allegheny County Council members Tom Dwyer and Bob Macy have sponsored a bill to install campaign finance restrictions on county-level elections. The bill, which is currently in committee, would adopt the same contribution limits as federal elections. These changes would not take effect until after this election cycle. Now, Rich Fitzgerald has said that he would veto this bill if it made it to his desk. He says that it places county office holders at a disadvantage in non-county level elections. But the county council could override that veto with a supermajority vote if necessary. I also want to bring you all some updates on Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who checked himself into the hospital earlier this week for clinical depression. Fetterman was evaluated by the attending physician of Congress, and it was recommended that he enter inpatient treatment, which he will receive at Walter Reed Medical Center. It's unclear at this time how long this treatment will last, but his wife Giselle said in a statement that she would like, and the family would like, for everyone to respect Fetterman's privacy at this time. For Pitt to the Point, I'm your political reporter, Alexandra Ross. Josh, Jamie?
Thank you, Alexandra. For years, smaller student organizations have had to worry about receiving funding from the Student Government Board. However, this worry is now being relieved at the hands of the Student Government Board.
For more on how the SGB is planning to help organizations on campus, we go to our Pitt Beat reporter, Michelle Spiller. Michelle?
Thanks, Jamie. Organizations on campus help to create an eventful and tradition-filled environment. The Allocation Committee, a part of the Student Government Board, works together and to help the funding for these organizations. This committee is putting their best foot forward to help improve the funding.
Every year at Pitt,
When students pay tuition, they make a payment to the student activity fee. A few years ago, the price was increased from $80 to $100. This led the allocations chair and committee to find that 100% of the money collected wasn't going back to the students.
Hey, we have about $300,000, $400,000 left over each year that's just not getting spent on essential student needs. How can we make it so that these funds are being directly funneled into student programs, but don't have the barrier of the allocations committee between them and student pockets, basically?
The first idea we came up with was really this Traditions Fund. So the main purpose of the Traditions Fund is to provide sustainable funding to large-scale events here on our campus.
If a student group feels like it has an idea for new program they want to put on, they feel like this is something that could happen year after year, but ultimately it's like a lot of money or it's not necessarily in line with allocations policies, but that's something that would fall into the new initiatives fund, right? I'm really excited about like the Swiss Army knife nature of these funds, that they can be used in a variety of ways, in a variety of fashions, just to ensure that the programming on campus is up to snuff with what students deserve and what they're paying for.
Students involved in on-campus organizations are encouraged to reach out to the allocations committee in the Student Government Board, and they will pass you along to the Inclusion in Student Unions team. This new Funding Act's main goal is to do right by the student body, and those in Student Government Board hope to accomplish just that. The Student Government Board and the Office of Inclusion are working together to form a formal way for organizations to contact them to get this funding approved. For now, keep contacting the Student Government Board. And for more information or to view the entire statement, go check out the Student Government Board's Instagram or their website, sgb.pitt.edu. From Pitt to the Point, I'm Pitt Beat reporter Michelle Spiller. Jamie, Josh.
Thanks, Michelle. Pitt to the Point is not the only source of news for the Oakland community. The Pitt News is constantly producing outstanding news, and we're lucky to have them on the show.
Here are the top headlines from our award-winning newspaper. It's the Pitt News on Pitt to the Point.
Author Kelly Sather's short story collection, Small in Real Life, won the 2023 University Press Drew Hines Literature Prize. Each year, the University of Pittsburgh Press awards one winner a publishing deal and a $15,000 cash prize. Sather's short stories will be published by the University of Pittsburgh Press on October 3rd. The University of Pittsburgh's Law School will no longer participate in the U.S. News and World Report's ranking. Interim Dean and Law Professor Haider Allah-Hamoudi said that the ranking system places too much value on admission factors that disadvantage marginalized students. The University of Pittsburgh's women's lacrosse team has 3 new captains for the program's sophomore season. The team had 13 players graduate after last season, including the previous captains. The 3 captains for the 2023 season are Molly Carter, Camden O'Donnell, and Abby Thorne.
With the Drew Hines Prize, it's highlighting a genre that I don't think is really talked about a lot in fiction, emphasize the importance of the Drew Hines Literature Prize, especially in the world of writing. And so I think it's really cool to let the Pitt community know not only about the prize, but also about the University of Pittsburgh Press and what they're offering.
You can find these stories and more at www.thepittnews.com or at any of the newsstands all around campus.
Coming up, a new discovery could bring relief to millions suffering from incurable diseases. See if it could help you or your loved ones after the break.
Dislike eating at the Pitt dining halls? Some new innovations might make Pitt dining a lot more enjoyable. See what the heads of Pitt dining are cooking up when we come back.
All this and more when we return to Pitt to the Point. Stay tuned, folks. You won't want to miss it.
They come here, forged in the spirit of change, pushing to answer the questions and then questioning the answers. Embracing each challenge as fuel for reinventing the world. Because here, leadership, courage, creativity, innovation, and progress are always in progress. The University of Pittsburgh. Forge.
Welcome back to Pitt to the Point. For everything from politics to sports, entertainment to medicine, Pitt to the Point, is the place to be.
If you want to stay up to date on the latest, be sure to keep tuning in every Friday at 8 a.m. from now till April 21st.
Oh, for sure, Josh. You can catch our show every Friday at 8 a.m. on the University of Pittsburgh YouTube page. If you just so happen to miss it, never fear. You can see a replay of the show at noon every Saturday on CBSN, KDKA's streaming platform.
Diseases of the pancreas were once seen as a death sentence. Thanks to the advent of treatments, these conditions became manageable. Now, hope is once again on the horizon for a possible cure for these diseases.
For more on this medical marvel from one Pittsburgh college, we go to our Medical Minute reporter, Joey Tebben. Joey?
You know, in the past few years, we've heard a lot about mRNA, messenger RNA, specifically in its use in vaccines in the fight against COVID-19. But a new article out of a Carnegie Mellon University lab suggests it could be used in a whole nother way in potentially treating the incurable diseases of the pancreas, like pancreatic cancer and diabetes. In today's Pitt to the Point Medical Minute, it's all about the perils of the pesky pancreas, pioneering with particles, and potentially preserving plenty of people.
The pancreas is indeed a pesky organ. Most people don't even think about it while it does its many jobs, including regulating blood sugar levels, neutralizing stomach acid by secreting pancreatic juice, yummy, and more. But over 37 million people in the United States have diabetes, in which the pancreas can't regulate blood sugar levels on its own. And every year, over 60,000 people in the US are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, the cancer with the lowest 5-year survival rate. Both diseases are incurable right now, but at Dr. Catherine Whitehead's Carnegie Mellon lab, they believe life-saving treatments may be on the way through the power of mRNA and lipid nanoparticles. Most of us know about mRNA or messenger RNA from its use in the Moderna and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines, but the future of mRNA therapy may be in fighting more than just viruses. And lipid nanoparticles are minuscule particles that can contain drugs, vaccines, mRNA encoding, and more. They're the way that mRNA gets transported to the place in the body it needs to go. But here's where the problem arises. As the article states, achieving non-viral mRNA delivery to target tissues outside the liver and spleen remains an unresolved challenge in gene therapy. Scientists have sent mRNA in lipid nanoparticles to the liver, the spleen, and the lungs before, but transporting them to the pancreas is immensely difficult. Whitehead's lab used mice to test their systems of delivering mRNA to the pancreas. In one experiment, mice were injected with lipid nanoparticles containing mRNA that would encode for firefly luciferase, the enzyme that makes fireflies glow. 3 hours later, they analyzed the mice's organs, and what do you know? Their pancreases were glowing more than any other organ. Success! Delivering mRNA to the pancreas, even if it did just make some mice glow, is still a huge innovation. The actual mRNA treatments for diabetes and potentially for pancreatic cancer are still being researched, but when these treatments do exist, scientists now know they can be effectively delivered thanks to the innovations of Dr. Whitehead's lab.
mRNA, lipid nanoparticles, lots of innovations, and hopefully lots of people treated in the future. I also did just realize that after all this talk about nanoparticles, we probably should have called the segment this week the Medical Minute. For Pitt to the Point, I'm medical reporter Joey Tebben. Back to you, Jamie and Josh, and your pancreases.
Thank you so much, Joey. Groundbreaking research indeed. Well, Josh, the longtime home of Pitt Eats is undergoing some changes.
The Pitt Eatery, formerly known as Market, will be introducing more diversified food options and a modernized design.
The dining hall aims to improve its food quality through specialized chefs and more options for all kinds of diets.
The eatery also intends to create a more open and efficient feel to the hall by changing the seating and the decor.
According to the Pitt Dining website, the renovation of the eatery will take place through a multi-phased construction timeline.
Don't worry though, the eatery will still be open during this construction process. However, segments of Pitt Dining under operation will temporarily go offline.
The renovation of the eatery is estimated to last throughout the 2023 to 2024 school year.
Pitt hopes the impending changes to the main dining hall will usher in a new era of industry-leading food service. And speaking of campus dining, Jamie, one club at Pitt is trying to put all the wasted food around school to good use.
That's right. Food Recovery Heroes is a group aiming to feed the homeless across the city of Pittsburgh using the resources here at Pitt.
Collect and transport the uneaten food from campus dining to the less fortunate across town.
Have you ever wondered where the abundant amount of surplus food served on college campuses ends up on a daily basis? Did you know that 40% of food in the U.S., enough to feed 25 million people, is thrown out every year? Here at the University of Pittsburgh, the Food Rescue Club is a group of students working to reduce the amount of food waste on campus while serving the community.
So, and typically it depends on where we're doing it. So now we've had a partnership with Pitt Eats. So we work in the eatery and we package meals and then send to the pantry. So that's just like your standard like packaging. We have like our protein, the greens and like a grain or something. Then we just package into a container and we bring it over there, like to the pantry. Or if we get more pastries and bagels from the coffee shops on campus or from like Panera, we just wrap those up individually to make sure everything is sanitary. And then we bring those to different organizations.
Having recovered over 700 pounds of food this semester alone, the club is making an environmental impact while also encouraging others to be more conscious of how much food they're putting in the garbage.
It puts into perspective, it's like, oh man, I got a calc test, I'm stressing out. And then you see 40 people at Jubilee that are just trying to eat and survive. And you're like, you know what, puts it in perspective. So that's what I really like most about the club.
The Food Rescue Club is continuing to expand, and those wanting to help give back can reach out through email or check out the club's Instagram.
Two biggest ways to help is just to come, sign up, come to recovery and see what it's like and give back and make a difference.
Coming up, we catch up with our regional campus reporter, Paige Allen, for the latest scoop on all the happenings in Bradford.
And who doesn't love a good laugh? One of Pitt's own has forged a comedic career that has him opening up for Jerry Seinfeld. No big deal. Well, we'll catch up with him as well.
And LGBT representation in film has grown noticeably in recent years. Our alumni spotlight has provided a platform for the transgender community. Stay tuned, folks.
So one inventive tool that the University of Pittsburgh has is Pitt Funds Me. So Pitt Funds Me is for outside scholarships that you can review and apply for as well. There's 8,000 plus scholarships on that website. These scholarships have been vetted as good and reliable resources, so you can guarantee that these are not resources that are trying to steal money or trying to scam you in any way. Any student has access to this, even admitted students who have not deposited yet. When you go into your my.pitt.edu, you'll want to search in the Ask Kathy box, Pitt Funds Me, and make sure instead of an S in Pitt Funds Me, you're going to put a $sign. That will allow you to go into the portal to be able to look at all the outside scholarship opportunities that fit your specific profile. They will ask several questions. You do not have to answer all questions or any questions if you don't want to, but the more questions you answer, the more opportunities that become available to you to apply.
Welcome back to Pitt to the Point.
We're so glad you could join us on this beautiful morning, whether you're tuning in from Pittsburgh, Bradford, Johnstown, or Titusville.
And if you're in Bradford, you're in luck.
No doubt about that, Jamie, because on the stream we have our regional campus reporter, Paige Allen, ready to tell you about all the happenings at this week at Bradford. Paige.
So today, actually, we're going to be talking about Pitt Johnstown's dance ensemble, considering that they had their 31st annual production early in February. So being one of the largest student-run organizations on Johnstown's campus, their show, Time of Our Lives, had a huge turnout this year, keeping everyone on their toes for what the program has in store for next year. The University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown had their annual dance ensemble show earlier this month. With roughly 30 student members, the completely student-run organization creates their own choreography, schedules their own rehearsals, and comes up with their own costume and song ideas. Featuring dance genres such as ballet, tap, jazz, hip-hop, as well as other more modern dances, the dance ensemble teaches dancers and non-dancers alike how to appreciate dance as an art form.
Hi, I'm Alana. I go to Pitt's Johnstown campus, and I'm a part of the dance ensemble here. It's actually one of the largest student organizations we have here on campus. So what we do is we start at the month of September, and then we practice all the way through January. And then the first weekend of February, we put on a show every year, and it has over 30 dances usually, and we have 2 show nights. It was actually 2 weeks ago this year, and we had a very good turnout. A lot of people love to come and see it. There's a bunch of different types of dances, different genres of music, stuff like that. And it really brings together the campus. Even if you don't want to join the dance ensemble, every year a lot of students come to our show and have such a good time.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I love being a member of Dance Ensemble because of all the amazing friends that I've made while in this organization. They honestly make dancing so much more fun. It's also really nice to have an organization that allows me to keep dancing through college, and it's always so rewarding to see something that is student-produced performed on stage. Everyone always does such an amazing job with their choreography, and I can't wait to see what we do next year.
With Pitt Johnstown's dance ensemble program closing the curtain this year, we'll be sure to stay tuned on what next year has to bring. From Pitt to the Point, I'm your regional campus reporter, Paige Allen. Jamie, Josh?
Thanks, Paige. Now, you mentioned that there is a Pitbull performance, and I am a Pitbull fan, but can you tell us about any other notable artists that the dancers will be performing to?
Honestly, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I was blinded by Time of Our Lives by Pitbull. Gotta say, one of my favorite songs.
Solid choice.
Gotta say, love me some Pitbull. Thank you so much, Paige. Well, his last name says it all.
Mine is Byrne, and I've got burning red hair.
Really? Haven't noticed. But this guy's last name is Lafferty, and he's made a career out of, you guessed it, making people laugh.
But make no mistake, this ain't your ordinary comedian. Andrew Lafferty has taken the jokes to the mainstream.
His talent has been recognized nationwide, and now he's opening up for Jerry Seinfeld. He now joins our entertainment reporter, Natalie Boleyn. Natalie?
Andrew Lafferty, current student at Pitt. He is exploring the world of comedy. He is making a name for himself by taking the necessary steps to turn his dream into a reality. Andrew is exploring the world of comedy by turning all things into laughable material. He aspires to be a successful comedic writer.
My name's Andrew. I'm 20 years old. I'm a junior at Pitt. In, I believe it was October, I was doing a show at Gotham Comedy Club.
Yeah.
And I was there, and you know, when you're the comics, you all go and you look at the lineup when you get in, and you could see, you know, there's like 10 comedians, and then there's like this dark line right after my name, and I was like, well, what's that? And this guy was like, Seinfeld's coming in, and I was like, oh, he's coming right after. So I like, but it's very secretive, especially a name that big on a show like that where people don't know he's coming. They try to keep it very under wraps. So yeah, I got to go up, and then the host came up right after my set and was like, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you to turn all your phones off, but you never know who might drop by. And, you know, said, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Seinfeld. When you start doing it, I remember the first time I did it, I was 17, and I was in high school, and I snuck out of my house on like a Thursday to do this open mic in Michigan. And I've been writing stuff for months. And I go on stage and I just blacked out. And I didn't remember it at all. And I walked off stage and I was like, I think it was okay. And then now you do it. Like in the past 2 days, I've done 7 shows. And now it's like you're doing so many shows, you don't remember it either.
Yeah, I have this brother. His name's Zeke. He's adopted, obviously. He's from Ethiopia. And growing up in like a mostly white house, my parents, they were afraid Zeke was going to miss out on like certain cultural things. Like I remember when he turned 12, my parents were like, you know, kids in Zeke's grade might start saying the N-word soon. They didn't know what to do. So one night, you know, we all sat down at dinner. My parents were like, Zeke, there's this swear word that only black people can say, and there's 2 ways to say it. One, it's a friendly term. You'll probably use it with friends, but the other one has deep roots in prejudice, and no one should say it. And now Andrew will show you both ways to say it. I was like, why would I do that? They're like, well, we don't want to do it. Can you imagine if I did that? Like, and Zeke's just hanging out with his friends later, and he says the N-word, and they're all like, whoa, man, why'd you say it like that? And he's like, well, that's how my brother says it. And they're like, your brother, isn't that the guy with the sunburn problem? You guys have been great. Thanks so much. My name's Andrew.
Make sure to attend one of Andrew's shows. You won't regret it. For Pitt to the Point, I'm entertainment reporter Natalie Bowen. Jamie, Josh?
Certainly have to check out one of those shows. Great work, Natalie. Now, from Pro Football Hall of Famer Dan Marino to business tycoon David Tepper, right on down to good old Fred Rogers' neighborhood, the University of Pittsburgh boasts a wide array of accomplished alumni.
Each week, we'll spotlight one Panther graduate to hear about their life, work, and the effect they've had on their community.
And this week's alumni is conquering the film scene, all while receiving her master's from Pitt.
Hi, my name is Julie Sokolow, and I'm a filmmaker, musician, and writer. I went to Pitt for my undergrad degree, and I'm actually back at Pitt getting a master's in social work. I studied psychology, film, English writing, and dabbled a lot. And after graduating, I spent a decade as a filmmaker, musician, and writer. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is staying true to my values in the artwork that I'm doing and collaborating with folks to lift up different kinds of voices in the work, and particularly with filmmaking. One of the films that I directed is called Woman on Fire. It's about Brooke Guinan, the first openly transgender firefighter in New York and a pioneer for LGBTQ rights. That's a film I'm really proud of. That kind of combination of art and advocacy is really important to me. I have been pursuing my Master's of Social Work at Pitt and kind of trying to take, the things that I loved most about being an artist and bring them to the work that I'm doing now with, providing services to clients and being around people all day. I feel like that's where I thrive and trying to have an impact in a different way.
Another great Pitt alumni. You'll love to see it. This week, a Pitt robotics team is preparing for a competition unlike any you'd see on campus.
And speaking of competitions, baseball season is officially here. Thank God. And we've got reports on the World Baseball Classic.
And Pittsburgh's own Trey Tipton hosted an event this week benefiting his community.
Finally, with LeBron recently eclipsing the NBA scoring record, our team got to meet with his high school coach. Coming up.
They come here, forged in the spirit of change, pushing to answer the questions, and then questioning the answers, embracing each challenge as fuel for reinventing the world. Because here, leadership, courage, creativity, innovation, and progress are always in progress. The University of Pittsburgh, forge ahead.
Welcome back to Pitt to the Point.
Well, let's get right into those robot fights. We have with us our business and technology reporter, David Altman. David, tell us about the robots.
Thanks, Josh. This week, I went to Pitt RAS, the Robotics and Automation Society here at Pitt. These students are passionate engineering students who are willing to work to expand their knowledge and profile in the robotics field.
It's prep time for the Robotics and Automation Society at Pitt. For the BattleBots team in particular, enthusiasm for their first competition is in the air.
Most excited for in RAS this year?
Honestly, this project has been so fun. I'm excited to go to competition and watch stuff blow up.
The BattleBots competition is a match between two robots physically fighting each other, with weapons best explained by the students themselves.
This weapon will go here and it'll just spin and it'll just bump into the opponents and attack them. We're doing a vertical spinner, but there's like horizontal spinners, there's like the drum bots.
Pitt RAS isn't just a club where you can participate in competition, as exciting as that is. It's also a place where students can expand upon their skill and experience that they can apply to in the engineering field.
Pitt RAS definitely helps me learn more. I feel like these projects are gonna prepare me for my future classes and obviously towards my job.
Getting a lot of experience, doing anything, getting hands-on experience and running into problems instead of just doing some work for a class is hugely beneficial, especially when you're an undergrad.
These students inspire themselves to better the general public with how robotics can contribute to solving significant problems across all industries.
Prosthetics, Pitt's very well known for the medical field, so I think prosthetics are really going to see a big boom in the next 10, 20 years, just with all the robotic control stuff coming out right now.
Pitt RAS gears up for their competition Saturday, March 18th. Something I personally cherish, whether it be in the engineering, robotic, and tech field, is not necessarily the problems we solve or the conclusions we come to, but the teamwork that builds the relationships together. And that's something that Pitt RAS certainly seems to be doing. For Pitt to the Point, I'm your business and technology reporter, David Altman. Jamie, Josh?
Thank you so much, David. A unique art exhibit was held this past weekend that combined the world of sports and art and featured someone very familiar to Panther fans.
No doubt. Former star wide receiver Trey Tipton was tapped to MC the Athletic Aesthetic, tongue twister there, Exhibit 1 art show at Stage AE, and the event was one for the books.
The event featured 18 paintings from the artist VC2 Art. The paintings depicted popular NFL athletes, including Tipton's former teammate, Kenny Pickett.
The exhibit was not only a way to allow current and former athletes to connect with fans, but it also raised money for Steel City Impact. The charity, based in Pittsburgh, is using the money raised from ticket sales to fund after-school programs for students in need.
Ooh, elevator pitch. Hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So you should come to this show simply just because this show is going to be a chance for you to see creativity and positivity come on the same plane. If you want a chance to be a part of something that's more inspirational than your normal life that we're doing in the city of Pittsburgh, you should definitely come out to this thing because it's going to be different. It's not super expensive. It's $10. If you don't got $10 in your wallet, you probably shouldn't show up anyway. So come out, come have a good time, man. It's going to be a really good time. A lot of positivity, man, and we're giving back. Let me repeat that. We're giving back. I hope that y'all heard that. We're giving back. So that's huge.
Well, just as the football season ended, the baseball season begins. America's pastime, Jamie. I can't wait.
Oh, I'm so excited. Pitchers and catchers have reported to Major League Baseball spring training. And don't I know it, Josh? I have a person over there now.
But you may have noticed the absence of some marquee players.
This is due to the impending World Baseball Classic, an opportunity for the best ball players from around the globe to represent their country in an international tournament. For more on this amazing event, we go to our Pitt sports reporter, Tanaja Riera. Tanaja?
Thanks, Jamie. As it is a little chilly outside, spring sports is making a kickoff today as baseball has their first opening game today. And in honor of that, we're going to go in to see how two former pitchers from the Pitt Panthers baseball team gets into the World Baseball Classic to win the championship. RJ Freer is a pitcher from Burlington, Ontario, Canada. He came to Pitt for 2 years and was on the baseball team from 2017 till 18 as a freshman and sophomore. He then got drafted in 2018 to the Houston Astros in the 6th round. In April of 2022, he signed a minor league contract with the Atlanta Braves for the Rome Braves in Rome, Georgia, until he was released in August 2022. As of February 9th, he is now activated by Canada and will be heading to the World Baseball Classic, a part of Group C. Derek West is also a pitcher from Orange City, Florida, and came to Pitt for 3 years, from 2016 till 2019. He got drafted in the 28th round of the 2018 draft by the Atlanta Braves, but did not decide to sign. He decided to stay a Panther for another season. He was then taken the next year in the 14th round by the Houston Astros. He has spent the last 3 minor league seasons in Houston's system playing on their minor league teams. As of February 9th, he was also activated, but by the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and will be heading to the World Baseball Classic, a part of Group A. RJ is in Pool C, while Derek is in Pool A, and in March, they will try to win the World Baseball Classic championship. As I stated before, the baseball season does start today, and the Pitt Panthers will play Maine and Sarasota, Florida today at 2 p.m. From Pitt to the Point, I'm your Pitt sports reporter, Tanaj Riera. Nick, what's going on in city sports?
Around Pittsburgh, you might know Duquesne head coach Keith Dambrot for coaching the Dukes. But he had his career start and revitalization back in Akron, Ohio, with a young freshman by the name of LeBron James. So when James broke the scoring title last week and Dambrot notched his 500th career win at Duquesne, it seemed just right that they broke the key milestones together.
People ask me about LeBron breaking the record last night and me getting 500 tonight. Like, that's a joke. Like, those aren't even comparable. You know, that guy's a special human being. You know, so for me, it's nice, but now we're 16-8. Let's see where we can go from here. That's kind of how I view the thing.
LeBron James may be one of the best basketball players ever, but he still remembers his high school days being coached by Keith Dambrot, and he gave him plenty of congratulations.
D, my guy. Oh my goodness, 500? 500 wins is ridiculous. Man, oh man. Never cease to amaze me. I want to congratulate you on an incredible feat and many more wins coming in the near future. But enjoy this moment. You deserve it. I love you. And you're one of the best. And it shows. So, like I said, congratulations to you, your family, and everybody, the university, and your coaching staff, your players, and everybody. But you deserve this one. You should honor yourself.
It only seemed right that they would achieve these milestones only a day apart. Dambrot watched LeBron James grow up into a superstar basketball player, and now he can't be more proud of LeBron.
You know, I was proud of him. You know, and the thing about him is I'm proud about what he's done on the court, but I'm even prouder of what kind of man he is. You know, he's a great human being.
Dambrot actually said he didn't even get to watch LeBron break the scoring title. He was sleeping. He wakes up at 5. So he's had associate head coach Drew Joyce II to go see that. Joyce coached LeBron for 8 seasons. The Dukes are now 18-8. They're making a run towards the NCAA tournament. I'm City Sports reporter, Pitt to the Point, Nick Faribaugh. Back to Jamie and Josh.
Thank you so much, Nick. A new donut spot is becoming the talk of campus. Why their donuts stand out from the rest.
And the only thing sweeter than that, a year of free rent. Sounds pretty good to me, Jamie. Well, all this student had to do was make a half-court shot pretty easy. See how he did coming up after the break. Welcome back to Pitt to the Point. Well, Jamie, if there's one thing every Yinzer can bond over, it's our love of Polish food. And for more on a lesser-known delicacy, we go to our reporter, Jordan Sapp. Jordan, tell us about it.
Thank you, Josh. February marks an important time for many Pittsburghers, the start of Punchki season. With Fat Tuesday quickly approaching next week, now is the perfect time to get your Punchki. Located in Brookline, Party Cake Shop is often said to be the best place to get Punchki in Pittsburgh.
Punchki is a traditional Polish donut. It's coated in sugar, put a void in it, and filled with different type of flavors. Our not as busy days, we're doing at least 40 dozen. Come Fat Tuesday, the numbers are going to be very, very high. 3 times that, 4 times that.
Punchki are eaten before Lent because many people give up sweets for the season.
I'm not originally from Pittsburgh, but I love Pittsburgh. They have a big Polish community here, and of course, Polish people are very traditional. And Punchki in Polish means little packages. All aspects of Pittsburgh have these little boroughs that have their own little things, little Italian, little Italy, and things like that. And I think just keeping on the Polish tradition with such a huge Polish population here keeps people grounded. So I'm Polish myself, half Polish, and my wife's half Polish, and her grandmother speaks Pole. People like their traditions, and that's what the big draw for Pittsburgh. So we like to keep up the traditions of Party Cake and also for the community.
If you'd like to try Punchki, this weekend is your last chance to do so before Lent. Luckily, there's still the weekend to try one. For Pitt to the Point, I'm City Beat reporter Jordan Sapp. Jamie, Josh.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I'm getting so hungry just thinking about it.
Me too. But the only thing that sounds better than that, how about a year of free rent? Well, this Panther just balled out of paying rent for a whole year.
One Pitt student took home this honorary prize after swishing a half-court shot in front of the Panther faithful.
Now, our contestant for tonight's spot, Richie. All right, Richie, you got your spot. Let's see what you got.
You got nothing, Richie.
All right, don't forget, if you missed any of our stories for any reason, log on to pittothepoint.com or check out one of our various social media platforms.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, we've got everything. So definitely check it out. You're not going to regret it.
The whole 9 yards. And definitely follow the Twitter account. We're trying to build up that very much so.
Absolutely.
Just want to thank everyone for joining us today on Pitt to the Point. Once again, a very special thank you to the one and only John Carlos. It was an absolute honor and privilege having him on the show.
Not gonna lie, I choked up a little bit listening to him. He was so inspirational.
Definitely a powerful story indeed.
Absolutely, and if you want to hear more of it, you can see him tonight in person on floor 7 of Alumni Hall, 6:30. I know I'm gonna be there. Definitely recommend if you want to learn more about this inspirational figure. And once again, we are so lucky to work with the incredibly talented Pitt students who are behind the scenes here, as well as our partners at the University of Pittsburgh's Department of Communications, who bring the show to everybody at the university, our regional campuses, and our wonderful alumni.
And of course, we'd like to thank you, the viewers, for sticking with us through this crazy Pitt to the Point adventure. Don't forget to tune in to CBSN tomorrow at noon. That's KDKA TV streaming platform to watch a replay of today's Pitt to the Point.
Hope you all have a fantastic week. For Josh Byrne, I'm Jamie Ely. We'll see you next week on Pitt to the Point.